guys, it is Carl Brown from GuitarLessons365.com. Got a fun one today, man. This one rocks. We're gonna learn how to do Bodies by Drowning Pool. Only bummer of this one is in drop C. So you're gonna have to tune your guitar rather low. If you don't have a guitar that's kind of set up for that, it's kind of a pain. But anyway, what is drop C? Drop C is basically a standard tuned guitar tuned down a whole step, and then you put it in a drop tuning like you would like drop D, but now it becomes drop C because the whole guitar was a whole step down. So let me kind of just go string by string to make it a little bit easier for you. The E string is tuned down 2 whole steps, so a major third to C. And then we have the A string is tuned down a whole step, 1 whole step to a G. Then the D string is tuned down another whole step to C, so that's down a whole step as well. The G string down a whole step as well to F. The B string down a whole step to A. And then the high E string down a whole step to D. Now, before I get into it, please subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Ring the notification bell. Kind of like and comment on the lessons. It really helps, especially if you watch the lessons. It helps the most. And if you really want to support what I do here on YouTube, please check out my Guitar Academy. You're gonna see a link to that in the description below. It's a GL365 Academy. We've got a great group of people over there. I go live every Saturday to kind of chat with Academy members so I can get their questions answered in real time and video. I get to know a lot of people over there, and you get personalized support beyond that, and full access to all my courses, they're all video courses covering everything from complete beginner courses to more advanced courses on technique, improvisation, ear training, theory, guitar tone, you name it. There's a bunch of stuff over there, so please go check it out. Free 7-day trial by clicking that link below. All right, so let's jump into this. So we're in drop C, of course. We're gonna do kind of all C.J. Pierce's guitar parts here. So we're going to start with the main riff, which is played twice, just kind of instrumentally, but it's also the chorus riff. So it's what I just played at the beginning of the video. So it's like this. All right, so we're going to basically slide into this octave shape at the 5th fret on the A. So it's the 5th fret on the A, and then the octave above that, the 7th fret there on the G. So hopefully you know how to play octaves, but you gotta be muting all the other strings around it. So you got that kind of thing. And when you slide into it, you're gonna hit it 3 times. Then we're gonna go over to, since we're in a drop tuning, we do power chords with just 1 finger. And you can just grab it with your middle finger there at the 6th fret across the 3 bottom strings. And then you're gonna kind of sort of slide that down to the open strings. So we have this. And then back to that 6th fret. You can play whatever finger you want, back up with just your index finger if you want. And then down to 3, and then 0. So that's the whole riff. We have this. Repeat. All right, so then we get this wah riff. Now this wah riff is actually over the verse progression, pretty much. We're gonna cover that verse progression next, but the main thing that you're hearing, especially if you just have a 1 guitar band, you're just gonna be playing this wah riff anyway, because it's the thing that's more apparent in the mix and stuff. So you need a wah pedal, and the wah riff that is gonna come in here after you've played the main riff a couple times at the beginning of the song, it's like this. All right, so kind of riding the wah here, but what's going on here on the fretboard is it's kind of just playing this little power chord shape, 12th fret there on the D string and 14th fret of the G. So you're kind of strumming this. And then you're gonna add this top note after a little bit, which is just a 15th fret on the B. And then you go back to those just 2 notes again, and you're gonna do this. So when I watch him play, it looks like he's barring with his pinky, so he's just kind of hammering on that note. You can make it a little bit easier by sliding and then just barring with your ring finger. So you can make that little slide adjustment. It sounds very similar, especially with the wah going on. I mean, who's gonna hear any difference? But it's a little bit easier than kind of hammering on the 15. So what's going on there is we had that 12 and 14 SL, but he hammers onto the 15th fret there on the G. And then he's gonna bar it. So he gets the top 3 strings all at the 15th fret. So it's kind of like this. That's without the wah, obviously. Or if you wanted to do the kind of the slide version so you can bar with that ring finger, which is easier for most people, you can just kind of do it like this. And then here, slide up to 15 instead of hammer, and then collapse that bar. All right, so what's going on underneath that is the verse. Now, here's the verse riff itself. Now this verse riff, you'll hear a little rhythm, little thing added just the very first time you hear the riff, and then the rest of it is more straightforward. So it looks like this. So I don't know if you picked that up. So the very first time I played the riff, I did this. A little dun-dun, it was an extra kind of little 2 hits in there. So the first time, we're gonna just play this, the open bottom strings, and then upstroke, then the first fret, then back down. So we just have that. And then we're gonna do this quick up down on the opens, and that's the thing that you usually don't see. The rest of the time it's not gonna be it. Just like that. And then play 1, 3, the power chord across the first fret and the third fret on the low strings. Heavily palm muted. So this. And then when we play it the rest of the time, we don't do that. We just go hit each one once. So we don't have that hit of 2. For the 1, 3. So we basically have this. First time. Then here. See there's a difference? So it's basically the riff itself is basically 2 parts. This first part and then the second part. But that second part, the very first time you played it, there's 2 hits that start on the open strings instead of 1. So going is just a little subtle difference that he does right at the very beginning of that riff. So all together. All right, now from there we get to the pre-chorus, and we gotta bring the wah pedal back in. It's like, nothing wrong with me, that kind of part. So we have this, we're basically back down to all right, so it's basically just the bottom 3 strings hit 3 times. Heavily palmed, and then that shape we did before, the 12, 14, 12 on the D, 14 on the G, and 15 on the B. Hit those 3 times with the wah pedal. And then back to those 3 hits again, and then the second chord we played up here. Remember, you can do it like this if you want, with the wah pedal. So we had this. And then I'll add the wah pedal here. right, so kind of tricky maybe going in and out of that wah, but that's what's going on there. And then it gets back to that chorus riff. Again, we do the same chorus riff that we did at the beginning of the song, but I believe done like 4 times instead of twice. All right, then it gets back to that wah riff again. And then back to the verse, same pre-chorus, and same chorus. So it kind of repeated a lot of things that we've already covered. And then it gets to this bridge, which is actually very hard to hear. He does some little legato thing at the very beginning of it, but it looks like this. All right, so that one's kind of a weird one. It's really hard to hear specifically what's going on in the very beginning. Because the song's recording, there's not a ton of definition there of what's going on. I don't know. But when you see him play it live, and it looks like he's just kind of it's kind of just really doing a slow trill between 3 and 6 on a low, low C string. So you gotta start with this like 0, 3, and then maybe pick the first string. Actually pick the first 2, then hammer on 6 and kind of pull back off, kind of do a slow trill. So after that, you hit the strings once heavily muted, and then we kind of get this. It's kind of got to know the sound of the rhythm, right? Just when you kind of want to detail something like down, down, up, just listen to it. It's just, there's not much that you have to do. Just mimic what you hear there. Just memorize that rhythm. So then it goes back to that riff, back to the open strings again, and then we go to this power chord here at the 3rd fret. So we're going to be barring across the 3rd fret of the the bottom 3 strings, and then add the 5th fret there on the G string. And then you're going to take that chord down 2 frets. But we have that kind of same rhythm still going on between those 2 chords. We have this. So it's kind of the same rhythm, but now we're just doing it across those 2 chords. So. And then kind of repeat. Except the second time through, when you get to this chord, you're just gonna, on the second repeat, when you get to this chord, you're just gonna let them ring. So all together for the bridge. All right, so that's definitely probably the weirdest part of the song, just that rhythm and how it's kind of, it's really hard to kind of pick up on the recording exactly what's going on, but just by watching them live, it's going to be something around like that. Now, then we get to the wah solo. It's kind of the wah part again that goes into a little variation of it a little bit. So he kind of like just as it. And then he'll kind of start doing the. So it's kind of make it a little bit funky, but it's very similar to what we're. So, but pretty much the same thing that we've done before, the same wah riff. So I consider that the solo, and then we get to this pre-chorus again. That nothing wrong with me, but this one's a little different. He doesn't go to the doesn't go up to those chords. It's just a lot more subdued. It's just the 3 hits. And then it keeps going. So it's kind of just like he'll start doing the hits again. And then throwing some muted hits, and then it'll kind of go up to the chords a little bit. You hear it a little bit, but you know, not a lot. And you know, like I said, that wah riff is kind of all over the place in the song. You can actually hear it in the in the verse. You can hear that, like the first verse there, probably in the second. I don't know, but it's the same riff, but it's on like a clean guitar with wah. That little wah riff comes in over it. So anyway. There's a lot of wah on this track. So, but this pre-chorus variation, you can kind of just leave it out and just do the little 3 hits. And then when it starts doing the repeat of that, it just starts building basically to the chorus again, which goes back into that main riff. All right, and then we get to the outro, which is basically a variation of that main riff. It looks like this. All right, so I believe it's done 8 times, maybe 4 times, but it's just that same. So basically the first 2 chords of the chorus just repeated. And then the last time, it plays that 6th fret power chord, open strings real quick, and then the 3rd fret power chord to kill it in the song. And that is it for Bodies. I hope you guys enjoyed. It's a really fun song to play. And it's one of those things that even if people don't know like metal and stuff, they all know this song. And they love singing along to it. So you hear it like a billion sporting events and stuff. So now you know how to play it as well. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you again soon for GuitarLessons365.com.